creators, welcome back to another video. Today we are making some jumping boxes in this cute little gift box for my mom for Mother's Day. All of the measurements and directions will be on my blog at MKre8tions.com. You can click the coordinating blog post link in the description box below. I do have a free template for you to download over on my blog for this jumping box tutorial, and I will be going through step by step in this video and showing you everything that you need to do to make this box. We're starting out with a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 6 inches. With the short edge at the top, you're going to score it at 2, 2.5, 3, and 5 inches. And then you're going to rotate it and score it at 2 and 4 inches. You'll need to make 2 of these to make one box. You will need to score a few diagonal lines. I'll put the template up on the screen here for you so that you can see where those lines exactly are. I am using my Simply Scored board to do this, but you can easily do this with a ruler and a stylus as well. Once I have these diagonals scored, I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the grayed areas from the template. Cut away all of the grayed out sections from the template. You do want to notch out some of your corners. You can see all of the places to notch out on the template. Once you have everything cut, you're going to fold the flap to the left and then fold it back to the right and back to the left, making a W or an M fold. And then you're going to fold it behind itself and once again notch out those pieces in the middle. Crease the rest of your score lines as shown. I'm using a piece of designer series paper to cut out some of the embellishments to go on the outside of the boxes. These pieces are 1 7/8 inch square, and you need 4 of these for one box. Using my liquid adhesive, I am going to put them onto all of the squared surfaces on the outsides of my box pieces. And now to make the jumping mechanism work, we need to punch a little hole in that flap as shown on the diagram. To do this, I'm just using my Take Your Pick tool and the paper piercer, and I'm just making a large hole. Using Tarun tape adhesive, I'm going to adhere one side of the box to the other on the flap here as shown. I've cut a small rubber band in half and I'm going to thread it through each side of those holes, and I'm going to tie a knot on the outside edges. When you're doing this, make sure that you pull the rubber band a little tighter than you would expect, just to make sure that the box really jumps high. You can adjust this if necessary. I had to readjust after I got the box completely put together. I just pulled the rubber band out and tied a knot. But to avoid doing this, try and tie it a little tighter than you might think you need. You can see here that I am sitting the box upright to make a right angle. That way I can see it kind of where I want to tie the rubber band, hoping that I tie it in the right spot. This is kind of trial and error, so again, just tie it a little tighter than you think you might need. Next, you're going to tuck in those little chicken wing flaps, use your Tarun tape adhesive on the tabs, and start to adhere this box together. It might be helpful to weight down one side with your scissors or something else heavier while you are doing the Tarun tape on the tabs on one side. Once you have the box sides adhered, then you can put some Tarun tape on the last tab and tuck it into the box to complete. Now you can lay this flat and push it down to test the box's jumping height. If it's not quite as springy as you would like, you can take the rubber band, pull it out like I'm doing here, and tie a knot in it. I don't recommend this if you can avoid it, but I really didn't want to rip this box apart and make a new one, so I am trying to improvise. And now on to the box. Depending on how many jumping boxes you make will depend on the height. Since I only made 2 jumping boxes, I'm starting with a piece of cardstock that measures 3¼ inches by 5¼ inches, and I am just scoring it at 1/2 inch all the way around. Take some scissors and notch out the outside flaps. I notched a little too much, so again, reference the template to see exactly where you should notch. After you have creased those score lines, take some Tarun tape adhesive and put them on the small flaps and adhere this bottom piece of your box together. To make the sleeve for your box, you need a piece of cardstock that measures 4¼ by 6¼ inches, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 2 7/8 inches, 3 3/8 inches, and 5 3/4 inches. I did score this again at 6¼ but that's actually where I'm going to be cutting it off, so you do not need to do that part. I started with a larger piece of cardstock, so I am trimming mine down so that it is 4¼ inches wide. I'm cutting a piece of designer series paper to measure 4 inches by 2¼ inches. Using Tarun tape adhesive, I am putting that onto one of the edge flaps, and then I'm going to adhere this sleeve together. Using a piercing mat and the Take Your Pick tool with the paper piercer, I'm poking a small hole on the edge of one of those sides on the box. I'm going to use this to thread in some twine so that I can use it as a little drawer pull. And now it's time to give our little box a test. I'm going to load up our jumping boxes and pull it open, and they work. So now I can put the gift inside. These are a set of stitch markers that my husband made from his Etsy shop as a gift to my mom for Mother's Day. I'm going to put those jumping boxes on top and slide it back into the sleeve so that when she opens it, she gets a nice surprise. Now it's time to decorate the outside of our box. I'm going to start by using my liquid adhesive to adhere this designer series paper to the top, and I'm going to use a combination of the Poppy's elements and Poppy's sequins to decorate the top of the box. I'm using the word mother from A Wish for Everything, and with my rich raspberry Stampin' Right marker, I'm going to color that in, stamp it onto a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and punch it out with the classic label punch. I wanted this to be a little smaller, so I turned it around and I punched it again the opposite direction so that I could shorten the label. And that's it. This box is done. I think it is so fun and such a great way to give a beautiful handmade gift to someone special. These beaded stitch markers are made from some sea sediment beads as well as some lava rock beads. The little silver piece is actually a piece that was reclaimed from some jewelry that my mother had she no longer wanted to wear. So my husband took a piece of that and repurposed it onto these stitch markers for her. Aside from making the wrapping for those stitch markers, my gift to her was a little less homemade. I wanted to give her a pair of wireless earphones because that was one of the things on her list. So I decided to wrap it with some of our gorgeous Poppy's Designer Series paper. And it was just perfect. Everything coordinated beautifully, and I really love how all of these gifts turned out. I added some of our crinkled seam binding ribbon in Whisper White, tied a bow, and that finished off this pretty little package. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure that you visit my blog, MKre8tions.com, for all of the details and instructions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.